Hey there everyone, welcome back to another Game Vault video. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault. We actually have some decent news today, so let's cue the music and we'll get right into it. Alright, so after Microsoft shut it down, Hi-Fi Rush developer Tango Gameworks is revived by South Korean publisher Krafton. Now this is kind of cool. We've seen some really good games come out of South Korea lately, and China, of all places. Now, I'm not a big fan of China. South Korea, I love to death South Korea. But China, Communist Party, don't trust them, don't like them, not really a fan. But they're putting out some decent games from the looks of it, so that's kind of cool. Now, what makes these games better than the Western games, and now Japanese games are actually kind of falling to the wayside too, is the fact that they're not participating in all this bullshit with DEI, the diversity, inclusion, and all that other crap. You know, it's just absolute garbage what's being pushed into Western gaming and now into Japanese gaming. And we're seeing studio after studio fall by the wayside with bad sales, partially because of that. Not solely, of course, but you know, I'll never suggest that, but partially. You know it has something to do with it. So anyway, 3 months after Microsoft shut down Hi-Fi Rush, developer Tango Gameworks, South Korean publisher Krafton has acquired the Japanese studio and announced plans to continue the Hi-Fi Rush IP. Now, Hi-Fi Rush is not my type of game. I think it's a rhythm game, if I'm not mistaken. I don't dig games like that, but, you know, from what I heard, it was a really good game. People enjoyed it immensely, you know, for what it was, and that's cool, and I'm glad to see that they're going to continue with the IP, because my understanding was it was successful. If I remember correctly, Microsoft kind of stealth dropped that game, just kind of like, boop, hey, here's a new game, it's on Game Pass, check it out. And, you know, nobody knew about it coming out ahead of time. There was no marketing or anything like that, and it still did pretty well. Let's go on. On May 7th, the official Tango Gameworks account announced the studio would be shutting down. It wrote on X, today, it was announced that Tango Gameworks will close. Thank you to everyone that explored the worlds we created. Hi-Fi Rush, along with Tango's previous titles, will remain available and playable everywhere they are today. Now, the announcement was made alongside Microsoft shutting down Arcane Austin, the studio behind Redfall, and mobile game developer Alpha Dog Games. It also merged Roundhouse Studios into the Elder Scrolls Online developer ZeniMax Online Studios. In an email obtained by IGN's Wesley Yin-Poole, Xbox Game Studios' Matt Booty explained the closures and layoffs. These changes are grounded in prioritizing high-impact titles and further investing in Bethesda's portfolio of blockbuster games and beloved worlds which you have nurtured over many decades. He added, to double down on these franchises and invest to build new ones requires us to look across the business to identify the opportunities that are best positioned for success. The reprioritization of titles and resources means a few teams will be realigned to others and that some of our colleagues will be leaving us. So they're kind of putting their eggs in less baskets, not all in one basket, but you know, they're putting a lot into Bethesda, which is interesting to me because Bethesda does not put out games regularly, right? They take a long time to cook their games and get them going. It's been 2011 was when Elder Scrolls Skyrim came out, right? And everybody's waiting for the next one. It was Elder Scrolls 5. Everyone's waiting for the next one. Yeah, they put out an online Elder Scrolls game, but that doesn't count. I'm talking single-player game. You know, it's been a while since Fallout 4 came out. Not as long as, Skyrim was. We're looking at 13 years now. So when you're putting out games, you know, a franchise puts out a game every decade and a half, 2 decades or whatever, that's putting a lot of your eggs in one basket. So hopefully this pays off for Bethesda and Microsoft, because if it takes you 10, 15, 20 years to release a stinker of a game, then your studio's in deep doo-doo, you know. Yeah, they just put out Starfield. I get it. That was a new IP. And from what I understand, Starfield was met with mixed response. You know, it looks to me, from what I've seen, I've watched a lot of gameplay of it and stuff like that, and it looks like a very typical Bethesda game, which in itself isn't bad. Bethesda puts out good games, but it looks dated to me. It looks old-fashioned, and I can see their creation engine is starting to wear at the seams a little bit. It's time for them to either update that engine or maybe go with a new engine. Maybe put it all, moving forward, start working with Unreal 5. I don't know. That's not, that's not my call. I don't know how that would work for the studio, but yeah, things are looking a little rough there as far as character interactions and all that. There's a Bethesda look when you talk to an NPC, and anybody who's played Bethesda games knows what I'm talking about. That kind of static, just face to face, and yeah, there's that. After going over the closures, Booty stated, with this consolidation of our Bethesda studio teams so that we can invest more deeply in our portfolio of games and new IP, a small number of roles across select Bethesda publishing and corporate teams will also be eliminated. He went on to note, these changes are not a reflection of the creativity and skill of the talented individuals at these teams or the risks they took to try new things. I acknowledge that these changes are also disruptive to the various support teams across ZeniMax and Bethesda that bring our games to market. We are making these tough decisions to create capacity to increase investment in other parts of our portfolio and focus on our priority games. Didn't Bethesda also... Well, Arcane was under Bethesda, right? The ones that put out Redfall, I think. And I know Bethesda also has id underneath it, so they've got a new Doom game coming out next year, which is going to be kind of cool. Another thing that I don't understand with this whole Bethesda thing and Microsoft acquiring them, and you only put out a game every so often, right? From your main studio, from Bethesda, and from your big IPs, your Elder Scrolls and your Fallout. Are they going to be available on all platforms? Are they going to make those exclusives for Xbox? As much as I love Elder Scrolls and as much as I love Fallout, I don't see myself buying a second, gaming system just to play those games. To me, that's kind of like, whatever. I'll have to miss out, I guess. Anyway, at the time, the closure of Tango Gameworks was surprising, given Xbox Games marketing vice president at Microsoft, Aaron Greenberg, had asserted in April that the game was a breakout hit for us and our players in all key measurements and expectations. We couldn't be happier with what the team at Tango Gameworks delivered with this surprise release. That's what really made it sad. I remember I did a little video on this back when it happened, and it's one of those stories that's just kind of like, ugh. Now, this is no way indicative that the recession, that the gaming apocalypse, as I like to call it, is going to slow down or stop anytime soon. But I'll tell you what, if South Korean developers start picking up more and more of these little studios that are going under, that's only going to be a good thing for gaming in the long run, especially if they can keep that woke mind virus out of the games. You know what I mean? Take on these studios, talk to them, say, hey, we're going to support you, we're going to fund you, and you're going to continue to make games, but you're not doing that garbage. It'd be great. Can you imagine? It'd be fantastic. It'd be a great way to give this industry an enema, and it might help, it along a little bit quicker into getting out of its recession that it's going into. But now, according to a press release from the South Korean publisher, it purchased Tango Gameworks and welcomed the talented people of Tango Gameworks to their team, marking an exciting moment in the company's global expansion and its first significant investment in the Japanese video game market. The company added, this strategic move will include the rights to Tango Gameworks' acclaimed IP, Hi-Fi Rush. Furthermore, the press release added, as part of the strategic agreement, Krafton intends to collaborate with Xbox and ZeniMax to ensure a smooth transition and maintain continuity at Tango Gameworks, allowing the talented team to continue developing the Hi-Fi Rush IP and explore future projects. Krafton intends to support the Tango Gameworks team to continue its commitment to innovation and delivering fresh and exciting experiences for fans. There will be no impact on the existing games catalog of The Evil Within, Part 2 as well, Ghostwire Tokyo, and the original Hi-Fi Rush game. For those unfamiliar with Krafton, it had published Terra, PUBG Battlegrounds, New State Mobile, The Callisto Protocol, and Moonbreaker. The company owns Bluehole Studio, Pugby Studios, Striking Distance Studios, Unknown Worlds, Neon Giant, and more. So what do you guys think of Krafton purchasing Tango? I think it's a good thing overall. I mean, it's saving a studio right now, and it's a studio that has, it seems like it has some significant impact in the gaming community. There's a lot of games in there that we have heard of. I mean, I love the Evil Within games. Those are great. Callisto Protocol, it missed the mark a little bit on being that spiritual successor to Dead Space, but let me tell you, it looked amazing. You know what I mean? So if they could have just done things a little bit better, I found the combat in that game to be kind of clunky and annoying and kind of uninspired. You know, it's like, whatever. But I think that game could have been a real winner. And if there's ever an opportunity for that game to get a sequel to it or something like that, and you just kind of glow up that combat a little bit and make it a little more robust, give us a little wider variety of weapons and stuff like that, kind of take us out of the melee so much. The game didn't feel right with the melee, that whole left and right kind of. It was almost like a rhythm game when you came to combat, which was kind of weird. You know, I guess that's why it didn't really stick with me so much. But I'd rather have some cool tools and weapons like we had in Dead Space or something like that. I mean, yeah, I may as well play a Dead Space game at that point, but apparently we're not getting any more of those after the successful remake of that game, which sucks. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to ring that bell for notifications. As always, we'll catch the beefy with the Game Vault. Thanks for stopping by today. I'll see you next time. Until then, peace.